you a woman in medicine feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from the personal fulfillment that you desire? You're in the right place. Join Doctors Joanne and Aaron as they rewrite the rules for women in medicine. Let's begin.
In this episode, I'm so excited to be talking with my co-host, Dr. Joanne Sotelo, about how rules, roles, and routines can actually get in our way. And Joanne, I am so excited to unpack these topics with you. Can you tell me more about what you mean by that?
Thank you, Erin. And I love talking about limiting beliefs, and I love talking about defining these topics, right? So we can start there as a review that limiting beliefs can be those conscious but frequently subconscious thoughts or assumptions that hold ourselves back or others or how we see the world. They keep us stuck, they keep us small and out of alignment with our true potential that we talk so much in here. And I love talking about these topics, and I talk a lot about it in my coaching and in my groups. And I find that sometimes it's hard for people to really they understand the concept, but it's hard to really get to what are those beliefs. So I thought about it in terms of a different filter of how our roles, outdated rules, or rigid routines can become limiting beliefs and get in our way. They feed our sense of exhaustion, overwhelm, and disconnection. So it's, and sometimes they came up because they were given to us growing up or what we chose, our lives. They might have served us at some point, but it's so important to really look at them again now and make sure, the rules I want to follow? Are these the roles that I want to keep? And some roles we can change, but we can redefine them. And then, of course, we can always revisit our routine. So I want to go in detail about each one of them, but I want to pause here, Erin, and hear from you too, because I know that this is something that you talk to your clients as well. So I want to hear your perspective on this before I explain each of them.
Yeah, well, I love that. And challenging fixed ways of thinking in those three areas of roles, rules, and routines. We did a full episode on reframing our thoughts to overcome limiting beliefs, was number 56, and on a similar topic. So if this is resonating with you, you might want to go back and take a listen to number 56 as well. And I just can't wait to hear about where you're going to challenge me and our listener, Joanne, in these areas of roles, rules, and routines, because it's so easy for us to go into default mode. Right? We have these neural pathways in our brains that are like this smooth highway, and to shift and change those, to quote one of my former clients, she talked about it's like hacking through the jungle with a machete, which is the new way of doing something, versus jumping on the superhighway. That's these ingrained paths that might be easier, but might not be serving us. So let's dive in. I can't wait to hear your take on this.
Exactly. So I'll start with roles, because I love talking about that, because as professional women, and so many of us are physicians, we are experts at this because we come from our hearts, we're serving, we take on a lot. And then it's almost like you're wearing one layer on top of another, and some are beautiful and important, but they can still cover the core of who you are and your essence. And then it takes us out of our authentic self. So what are some of these hats, if you want to think about it too? And again, some are part of our identity. They won't go away, but we can still have the awareness to see how, if you think about it in terms of a jacket, like, do you want to keep it in the same color, in the same thickness, and which one goes first, right? So things like we're daughters, we're mothers, we're physicians, or we're caretakers, fixers, right? Entrepreneurs, some here, and maybe you have other roles in a family, like myself, right? In the later years, I've taken on the caretaking of my mom, even though my kids are a little bit older and in high school and college, then I'm still in that caretaking role and shifting my role as a doctor. And again, these are all beautiful, But then we have beliefs around them, which is kind of the deeper work here of who am I supposed to be? Am I supposed to be, right? Like we talked here about the perfectionism that gets in the way, or I can't be this great doctor and the great mom, like I'm cutting short somewhere. And all the things that we believe that define these roles and how they can get in the way. And if we turn it into a little bit of a more into the personal development, right? And I've shared here that one of my limiting beliefs is that I'm a good girl. And that's a beautiful thing. It's not like I want to be a bad girl, right? And that's almost funny to me. But I can say, right, like, how have I defined that belief? And how do I want to redefine it to really open up to possibilities? Or I am the responsible one, or I'm the one who's taking care of everyone. So, a first challenge here is asking yourself, which roles do you play out of habit or obligation that are no longer in alignment? And would you like to change that? So that's, right, like that's the first one. My second one is talking about rigid routines that drain you instead of sustain you. And I love talking about routines. They give us structures, right? Like I say, if I didn't have a routine, my kids wouldn't make it to school when I used to drive them to school. But then sometimes we get so stuck with them, or we heard it from someone else, like you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and work out and do this. And then they become very rigid, and they again steal away our joy, our sense of fulfillment, our sense of balance. And then we get stuck in an emotional cage as well. So it's a challenge here would be to question, was this a rhythm and a routine that you created? Is this what you want to keep, right? And then really checking into the awareness of what part of your daily rhythm no longer fits the life that you want, or is in alignment with your priorities and your values in this season, which I use that phrase so often. It's important here as well.
I'd like to just to expand on that, Joanne, when you talk about this season, even this day or this week, and you were talking about, these routines may be really healthy. One of my clients is very good at working out, very disciplined, and yet she was in a period of a few months where she didn't have any free weekends. She was super busy with family things, with some events that were going on that lasted for several weeks at a time. And she recognized that if I keep getting up an hour early to do my full workout, I don't have enough gas in the tank. I'm too tired. So she gave herself permission just during this short season to say, I'm going to put a pause. And we've talked about this idea of a ceiling and a floor. Like the ceiling is her highest potential is doing that full hour-long intense workout. But she was like, no, I need to get some more sleep. I'm going to get up a little later. And then maybe it's a 10 or 15 minute piece of that routine. So it's not totally going by the wayside. When we do those things that are relevant to what's my life right now, I think it helps keep us more in attune and more in alignment, instead of, as you said, just kind of going on rote habit and not taking into consideration what's going on right now and is this serving me?
And that's a perfect example, Erin. Thank you so much for bringing it, because sometimes when we're thinking about these concepts, we think about big things or transitions that we talk in here too, of like getting a divorce or quitting medicine or moving to a different state. And it's not about that. It's exactly about this example that you brought up. It's really looking at the details of what we're doing day to day, and is it giving us what we want? And I love that it could be different one week to the next, depending on what's going on, right? And we've talked a few times in the last episodes of the importance of rest and taking breaks. And those are beautiful add-ons and distinctions to our routines that we do not always give ourselves permission for. So thank you for bringing that up. And that's a good segue to this third one, which are unwritten rules that were meant to protect us, but now they limit us. And actually, I'm just going to give you some examples here that I hear a lot, right? And see if some of this resonate with you. I have to be perfect and prove myself to be worthy, right? And we can see how that can affect our sense of self in kind of we beat ourselves up. Another one can be talking about rest. I can't rest until everything is done. And that sense of perfectionism. And then we put ourselves last. Another one could be, if I say no, I'm letting people down. And then we don't set the boundaries that are meant to protect our energy and let us show up the way we want to show up. And this, again, are not necessarily horrible things, obviously, but when we have them so rigidly and we are not paying attention, they can drain us mentally, emotionally, physically, and then we end up feeling so tired, exhausted, we're feeling overwhelmed, and we don't always know why. So this is beautiful work. Not easy to sit down and question really what are some of those beliefs? What are the roles that I don't no longer want to have or reframe? Can I shift a little bit these rules or these routines? And really pushing to help you be your best.
I love that, those different examples and highlighting those areas of roles, rules, and routines, Joanne. And we always like to really highlight also, why is it so important to be aware of how roles, rules, and routines are impacting you as a woman physician?
And I want to start with some compassion because I don't want you to hear this and beat yourself up. This is more to have awareness and to understand that part of this were given beliefs. And a lot of women in medicine were told like patient first. This is a self-sacrificing career. You have to prove your work with overachievement and you have to like keep it all together and never struggle. Don't complain. These are the messages that we hear all along. These are programmed in our doctor brain. And these were the role models that we have, which we talk in here also about how it's one of our values to show up as role models and rewrite the rules in medicine like we talk about so much. Because often these roles become exhausting for us, right? Like then we have so many routines and so many things in our plate that then we don't have space for joy or rest. And then the unspoken rules, especially as women, that we have to be twice as good, or right, like I cannot let people know that I'm weak. And this is important, right? This work is important because it, like we always talk about, it creates awareness. It allows us to release guilt and all those shoulds that we give ourselves. And it helps us reclaim our time, our energy, and our identity so that we can live that fulfilling life that we're here for and learn and grow.
I love that. And we constantly talk about awareness. And I love that you are raising awareness to areas of our lives that become so ingrained, we may not even be thinking about them. But I always look at it as when I raise awareness to somebody I'm coaching or a friend that I'm giving advice to, once you are raising our awareness to these things, Joanne, now it's up to us. If we didn't realize that these areas might be having a negative impact, that my routines might not be serving me, but now you're saying, hey, I want to challenge you, listener. Really take a look and ask yourself if it's relevant. That's so powerful. And so if we recognize that the roles, and routines we have are no longer serving us or need to be adjusted, Joanne, what can we do about it?
So of course, like talking about awareness, the first one is, and I have it funny here, like name it to tame it. But again, it goes back to sitting down and really identifying what are the roles, what are the routines, what are the rules that you're living by right now. And ask yourself, is this, how are they feeling? Are they in automatic, like you were saying earlier, because they're so wired in our brain? Are they feeding me or are they draining me? Because some things are meant to be difficult and challenging, but they should not feel heavy or draining all the time. And then kind of like we talk about redefining success in here, it's redefining also what's the rules I want to follow. What are the roles I want to focus on? Again, it's not always about getting rid of them or changing them, but you can change the focus, right? So that's always the first one. And that's kind of almost all encompassing. A second thing, it's again, and I'll say it again, really asking, how is it serving me? Because a lot of times we keep some of these limiting beliefs, and if we think about it in the filter of roles and rules and routines, and they're serving us. They might not be necessarily in a positive way, but it's worth saying, is this something that's keeping me safe and in my comfort zone? And I keep on doing them because it's what I've always done, or this is what my family expects, so I get their approval from it, or this is like how you stay in your lane at work. So again, being super insightful that is probably giving you something, but it's questioning if that's the something that you want to stay in. And then, of course, once you are aware of it, then you can decide if you want to keep it, if you want to reframe it or expand the definition of it, or if you want to just kind of release it, right? So that's the bigger work that comes after the analysis of the awareness and going deep. And a bonus task here is always, always, always with compassion. We get to rewrite the rules, like Erin and I say so much, in our terms, but we have to be very gentle and compassionate and understand that it's not always easy, but so worth it.
That's so powerful, Joanne. And what I love is that, as coaches, our goal is to pull out answers from our clients, not to, give them our wisdom. Sometimes there's some of that, but it's actually, what's the right answer for you? And so there is not one right answer for our listener. And you get to decide, am I going to keep it, reframe it, release it? And you can get entirely different outcomes simply by reframing something. For me, working out was never an easy thing. It was never part of my, I always had to be dragged along by my roommates in medical school, encouraged by my husband, signed up for a personal trainer to get me there. And yet, if I say to myself, I hate working out, I'm only doing it because I want to stay healthy, versus working out can be really fun. And now actually I'm enjoying working out. I don't like to miss them. Like, this is something that's just happened in the last year because I found the right support, the right community, the right timing. And now it's becoming a much more integral part. And I don't, it's not negative. And that's completely a reframe for me from something I'd had for a long time. So I love that this is very inspiring, that we can do the same thing and by a reframe have completely different results and boost that.
And I can use your example to talk about all three things, right? So you change your role. Like, I am someone who exercises. And I enjoy this. And the role also in terms of the support, you change the rule for it. Because it's like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to. I hate it, but I guess it's what I'm supposed to do because that's what everyone says. Versus then changing the rule. I'm doing it because I like it. I'm making this mean that it's important and it's fun, and I'm gonna do it in a different way. And then the routine. You change the routine. Like, who's around me, who's helping me, where, the time, maybe the duration, so that you keep it fun, because we don't want to undo this work, right? So that's such a neat example that where you can see the shift in all three areas, and then it's so much easier, and then it's something that then will definitely recharge you instead of drain you.
And in the ripple effect, how when we're role modeling for others, and when I coach several women who are local and they have access to the same gym. And what I love too is this ripple effect, where my personal trainer came to my retreat that I hosted a couple weeks ago, and he's the one leading the group class. And now there's this whole posse of other people that not only the women I'm coaching, some of their spouses are also showing up to these group classes and learning that exercise can be fun. So that positive ripple effect, when we can have a healthier, more relevant mindset, it's amazing how much positivity we can create, starting with ourselves and then letting that expand. So thanks for having such a powerful, poignant topic for this episode, Joanne. I'm loving all the ways that it's engaging my brain and connecting all of those three areas. Joanne, you have had so many great areas that you've covered with addressing roles, rules, and routines. And you have shared that sometimes our roles can serve us, and other times we need to reframe them or even let them go. Same thing with our rules and our routines. I love how you shared this theme of relevance. Is this relevant to me today? Is it serving me? Is it adding or draining? And really editing what we're choosing to continue. And oftentimes we may not recognize these beliefs that were programmed in us through our culture, through our upbringing, through our medical training. And I think it can be very difficult to raise awareness in medicine when we're mainly mixing with other physicians who may share our same beliefs, that maybe that's not serving any of us. And can we really challenge those? And once that awareness is raised, now it's up to you, our listener, to decide, what am I going to do with this information? And that when you pause to take an inventory, as Joanne was suggesting, and looking at where those edits need to happen, you can reclaim your time, your energy, and your identity and make it more relevant to who you are today. You also gave us some great tips on what can we do to address roles, and routines. Name it to tame it. I love that. And kind of looking into, why am I even doing this? Is it out of routine? Is it automatic? And what role is it playing, feeding or draining me? Asking, how is this serving me? And always making yourself, once you're aware, again, making that choice. Now, what am I going to do? And as always, compassion and community to help you make those changes and pivots. And Joanne, with that, I wonder, do you have one more golden nugget of advice or information to share with our listener?
Yes, I'll say it this way. Every role can be rewritten. Every rule can be revised. Every routine can be realigned. And here is the note. You do not need permission to start. And the reminder that just one small shift today can unlock a new path for tomorrow.
Wow. Beautifully said. And with that, thanks for being with us at this episode. And we look forward to seeing you in our next episode, which is coming right up. Stay tuned.
Do you want exclusive resources and the opportunity to connect with us? Then visit createmeaninginmedicine.com now, where you'll dive deeper into how you can create meaning in medicine. And if you're serious about optimizing your results, take 2 quick steps now. Connect with us on the website and tune in to the next episode.